So, talking about improvements, how well do you think the country can sanitize its electoral process?
Yeah, in the 2023 election, there were several things that also happened. Some were criticizing INEC for saying that they were going to do electronic, transmission of results and
Result?
all sort of things, and they couldn't do it. Yes, they felt they could do it. Unfortunately, they couldn't do it for one reason or the other. It's a system thing. So what I expect is that we have gotten this from this 2023, and I'm very sure that by the time we get to 2027, even before 2027, it's most possible that we're going to have electronic transmission of results. And that will be another step forward from where we are. So again, I think INEC needs to also look at the system very well. Whatever improvement needs to be done, they have to take it to the National Assembly, look at the result of 2023, look at the loopholes we have gotten, and again, how do we move forward? If you look at 2023 election versus other elections, you realize that even in terms of hooliganism and and stuff, snatching of boxes and all, it has reduced drastically, and that is an improvement. But we can still get it better than what we have presently. So going forward, I want INEC to evaluate the 2023 election and look at various comments, both negative and positives, and look at the laws as it is and see a way of working together with the National Assembly to have a better electoral system in the future.
Right. So, Mr. Ajibola, it's important to have your opinion on this. As a technological expert, I mean, talking about sanitizing our electoral system, many Nigerians believe that most of the lapses we had during the last general election were technology-based. What steps can be taken in this regard?
Tests. There should be all kinds of tests required for visibility, for performance, for efficacy of the systems. I think there's no excuse for Nigeria being, where we are today to still be having issues the likes of what we had in some of those elections that we had. It's just not excusable. And when those things happen, this is where I'm looking forward to the president talking about accountability and so on and so forth, because folks need to be scapegoated when they make mistakes in what they've been held accountable to do. It's just plain simple. It's not excusable. Way before the election, there should be all kinds of tests done on the systems to measure their performance, to measure the network capacity, to how they can react to all these conditions. We do that in technology to prepare ourselves for the go live date or whatever is what you want to call it. So for us, we encourage that the order of the day moving forward should be that there should be a final report on all the tests that has been performed to make sure the systems does not fail. And if it does fail, then folks should be held accountable. Folks that are part of that failure should never be put back in that system again to be part of it anymore. It's just not excusable. It really isn't.
Right. So one very key takeaway from the last general election was that election was very divisive, and President Tinubu harped on this in his speech. I mean, he said, we heard him say one of the most important assets of this country is its diversity and human capital. Why has the country become so divided? Mr. Ajibola, please take that.
Yes. From my standpoint, you see, also in the diaspora, we've noticed that we're more united than folks on ground. We find ourselves collaborating on different fronts, working together. I think there's something that happens to everyone when you're in that environment where the divisiveness lends itself to better corruption, better failures in government, if you will. I think when the people are divided, it's easier for leadership to be incompetent and not be accountable for it. So the forces that push us apart are intentional and are working harder than we are to work together. That's as simple as it is. So I think that moving forward, all Nigerians have to recognize that the tribalism, the religious faction divisions, and all those things are not as crucial as our the value that the country aspires for all of us. So we have to kind of like just shy away from it at every corner. And I just think that part of the issue is also that a lot of folks, a lot of the stars that could be, better leaders for us don't emerge until during election cycles. So the people don't know enough about them. And all we know are the leaders that continue to persist, which is okay. But it's time for the so-called young and bright leaders to be engaged in all different cultures. If you're an Igbo man trying to run for position in Lagos or wherever, go engage the people now and build your relationships so that it doesn't turn against you in the last minute when people say, we don't know you. So they don't know you. It's a fact. If they don't know you, they're not going to vote for you. So I think leaders need to engage different cultures, different tribes, and grow that. But I do agree that the divisiveness is real. It's not, and for us, it really bothers our spirit when we come and we're like, you come with your friends from different culture and they're trying to divide you right in front of you, trying to say, these people are these people. It's just enough is enough. I think Nigeria has so much greatness in all our tribes. There's things that the Igbos are great at doing, the Yorubas are great at doing, the Hausas are great at doing, the Fulanis are great at doing. And we need to find the best in all of us and cultivate that for the better good of Nigeria. And I think we can. We've proven to the world that, from Afrobeat, from all kinds of things we touch, anything we touch, we are great at. So I think it's time we just, take on a bigger challenge to just build a great nation, and the world would never have seen anything the likes of what we can create.
All right, so let me come back to the studio. Honorable Dene, I caught you laughing while I threw that question to Mr. Jibola. And I believe you're laughing because you know that Nigerians believe that you politicians are to blame for this division.
Yes, you got me right. Yeah, the 2023 election, you realize that politicians have their tactics. And one of the things I noticed in the 2023 election, especially from the opposition party, is looking for a way, what can we use? And if you look at it critically, you realize that all they needed to do was to create division here and there and all sorts of things. And yes, but unfortunately, it didn't work. It didn't work because if you look at the major three political parties, let's forget about the fact that President Tinubu won. He actually deserved to win because he was the only one during the campaign that covered the whole 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory. Despite the fact that he realized that he might not get too much votes, even in the Southeast, because the division we're talking about actually played out very well in the Southeast. And that was the stronghold of the Labour Party. So they felt that the only thing they could do was to create that division and ensure that even if they're going to lose at all, they won't lose in Southeast. And they really guarded that very successfully. But even at that, you will see that President Tinubu played it coolly, gently, and that was why, even if he didn't win so much, he ensured that the 25% he needed, he got everywhere. So, but for non-politicians, for the populace, for Nigerians, especially the teeming youths, we must have learned so much from the 2023 election. There's nothing that is impossible. All you need to do is to do your own work very well, which President Tinubu actually did. And so anybody that does his homework very well, regardless of the ethnicity or wherever that person comes, can be assured of victory. So do your own work very well. It doesn't have anything to do with age. It doesn't have anything to do with where you're coming from and all sorts of things. You can imagine if someone in Lagos, for instance, that is not a Yoruba person, will win an election and it was not contested. So that means, and if you now go to the East, and especially the East, how many other people from outside East could boast of winning elections? So these are some of the things, these are some of the intelligence that I expect our teeming youth to start looking at, that Nigeria is for everybody, regardless of where you come from, and whoever becomes the president is the president of the whole nation and not a particular section. So going forward to 2027 and every other election we have, we just need to do our own work very well and also have it at the back of our mind that when we win an election, we're going to be the president of the whole nation, not necessarily the president of a particular ethnicity. So, meaning that we have to do our own work and spread out and take our people from everywhere and get to the people, speak to the people, let the people know what you have in stock for the nation. And that is exactly what we win election for you. Not a campaign based on sentiment, not campaigns based on ethnicity, not campaign based on where you come from, and not campaign based on religion.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen. Let's go on a break. I've been speaking with a chartered accountant and former member of House of Representatives, Kehinde Odeneye, as well as a technology expert, Modupe Ajibola. We'll take a break now, and I will be right back. Welcome back to Politics Tonight, and today we're focused on the political and economic takeaways of President Tinubu's Independence Day speech. And I've been speaking with a chartered accountant and former member of House of Representatives, Kehinde Odeneye, as well as a technology expert, Modupe Ajibola, who is joining us via Zoom. Gentlemen, I'd like to continue this conversation on unity because from the president's speech, you can see how serious and determined the president is about the unity of this country. But how far can the president go?
Yeah, I think President Tinubu has a very big task in his hands, and that task is the unity of this nation. And I'm very much sure that he's going to try his best, and he will achieve a lot with that. If you look at him very well, you will realize that President Tinubu is not someone, is someone that will work with everybody and can work with anyone. He has tried it in Lagos, and he's also going to try it now again for the betterment of Nigerians. But you see, when we speak about the unity of our nation, it is not the work of the president alone. Nigerians as a whole must take it upon themselves that we need unity in this country. We cannot take away the issue of ethnicity. We have all come from various places, but one way or the other, destiny has brought all of us together. And we have no other nation, as at now, we have no other nation but Nigeria. Whether you are an Igbo person, or a Yoruba person, or an Hausa person, all of us must join our hands together with the president to ensure that we do not just have peace, but we also maintain unity in this country. Whatever the president is doing, it has to be complemented by the whole generality of Nigerians. We must all agree to come together and work for the benefit of Nigerians. If not for us as a person now, at least for the future and betterment of our generations coming behind us. So I'm sure that the president will work definitely on the unity. And it won't just be him. All of us must also come together to work together with him to achieve this unity.
All right, then. Mr. Ajibola, let me come to you. This country is still battling with effects of petrol subsidy removal. What's your view on 25,000 naira and now 35,000 naira additional wage announced by the president?
Yeah, I think those are positive way forward. It's just not enough for the common man. It's just not enough. The struggles are real. On ground, whenever I come there every month and I see what's going on ground, a lot of folks, and to use this to answer your previous question on this issue of us coming together, even the issue is that the economy is they say the economy is stupid, but in our case, the economy is skewed in one direction. And one of the issues that you find is that those that are lobbying the president even today are well resourced to continue to do so that they can be the beneficiary of contracts and revenues that are coming from the government. And Nigerian government, by and large, is the biggest spender in town. So what we need to do, what the government needs to do, if it's really going to be serious about this, us coming together as for the cause of the nation, is to put some quotas into contracts and projects that require them to be diverse in their function and in their execution, so that whoever is taking this contract knows they have to go find source resources from all the corners of Nigeria. Otherwise, they would not be approved for those contracts. So beneficiaries, as beneficiaries begins to see that It's coming from everywhere. Then we all vested together and fighting together to work for Nigeria. But a hungry man is an angry man. Nobody wants to work for Nigeria if you're hungry, because you feel like Nigeria has failed you, and the folks are hungry. What we need to do is make sure we feed the starvation of unemployment through diversity in the projects, diversity in the execution of the projects, the distribution of the revenue across the country. And you see people come to the table and say, look, now we feel the effects that the country cares about us. We're going to engage the system. I think it all works together.
All right. Honorable Dene, there are others like him who also say it's inadequate, while others have commended the president. But then, how do you think this can help?
Yeah, I quite agree that definitely it might not be enough. The 35,000 might not be enough. But there's something very tactical that the president has done. And that is to say that, yes, there will be additional 35,000, meaning that 35,000 is not the minimum. You understand? It's an additional to whatever is the minimum wage now. And again, he said it will be for the next 6 months. Why that is because every other person will have expected, except for accountants, will have expected that no, why 35,000? Why not raise it to 100,000? Why not raise it to 200,000 and sort of things? And why 6 months? Because of the state of the economy now. If care is not taken, you can hand 50,000, 100,000, and not have anything to do with that 100,000. What is the value of 100,000 or 35,000 or 20,000 as at now? And that is why the president has carefully stated for next 6 months. As at 6 months' time, we expect that the economy will have been better than what it is now. Then he has not foreclosed the fact that salaries can still be raised even within the 4 years, the first term of 4 years. It can still be improved upon, but it does not make any sense to just increase salary now to so much without any economic backup. If you have so much money in your hand and you do not have anything to buy with it, that means the inflation will become an issue. And that is why, I believe that it's going to be a step-by-step thing. It's not just going to be, unlike what we used to have before, that the government will just come and say, oh, we are going to 30,000 naira minimum wage, and that will be it. Fine. Meanwhile, you have that money that is not backed up economically, and at the end of the day, you receive the 30,000 naira or any amount in the first, second, third month, and you realize that, no, everything has gone again. So you start asking for more salaries. So there are so many things that can be done, not necessarily with money salary. If the economy improves, if the transportation system improves and it becomes cheaper, if food is available and becomes cheaper, you realize that the 35,000 or whatever amount is being paid will be very useful, and you can have things. But if you are given 100,000 and food is not available, you realize that even within 1 month, the 100,000 you are having would not still be enough. Right.
So also related to this is the president's announcement. I mean, he announced the plan to expand the social register to include an additional 15 million people. He says the register will be used to transfer cash to vulnerable Nigerians. But for a country that has an implementation problem, how does government ensure that these monies get to those who really need them?
That is a very, very big challenge. And the first and foremost thing is that what register is going to be used? Because there has been issues about register from the federal government and the state. So we need to understand what register is going to be used. And so it's not just enough for the president to say that we are going to empower 15 million with cash transfer. What has been the effect? What has been the impact positively of this same program in the past? A lot of people have claimed that even those people that they said have been given money, a lot of people have come out to say that we didn't get the money, we didn't receive the money. Even state governments have also complained that the register that was used in the past administration by the immediate past administration was not the same register that the state generated. So before this particular program will go ahead, the first and foremost thing to be done is that who generated the register? And how did they capture the vulnerable people? Who are the vulnerable people we are talking about? Because if care is not taken, someone will just bring out a list that, yes, Jumoke has collected money, Kehinde has collected money, Taye has collected money. And at the end of the day, they come to Jumoke. Jumoke said, no, I didn't see anybody. Nobody has given me anything. So the first thing is that we must know who generated the register, how is it generated, who are those people. Unfortunately, we do not have, and I think that is one thing that we also need to do in this government. And I'm saying this especially to the Minister of Communication. There's a need to have a synchronized system of identification that we will have just
You're
one
supposed to work on that. Yeah.
We're supposed to have just one identification. So at every point in time, my ID card, whatever ID card I carry, should be able to work for my bank, should be able to be my driver's license, should be able to do one or two other things for me. So in that case, it is easy for me to be located at every point in time. But not where I carry so many cards. You understand? If I have a different, I have one driver's license that bears another name, I have one bank account that bears another name, I have another national ID card that is even that has even expired and all stuff. So we need to synchronize this and have a meaningful, identifiable system. In that case, you will know quite well that yes, I am giving something to Jumoke, and it is Jumoke that is receiving it. Absolutely. It's not for someone to say, I've given something to Jumoke, and Jumoke is saying, I've not received, and somebody is claiming I've. So, before this cash disbursement will go ahead, I pray that the president will ensure that the money, the register to be used is the correct register, verifiable, confirmed with the state governments, and the disbursements too is monitored and audited. In the last regime, I'm not sure anyone actually audited the payment that was given to people. So, but in this case, President Tinubu is a chartered accountant, and he knows what audit means. And so, what I want this government to do is to ensure that the money actually gets to the vulnerable people. We're talking about vulnerable of vulnerables. It must get to them. It must be audited. There must be a system in place for monitoring and for proper audit so that, yes, those people will feel the positive effect of this disbursement. So, and from here, we can generate a very good register that is verifiable and can be audited at any point in time. You will not believe that there are some people in those registers that have been paraded that are even dead. And someone has claimed that they have given money to dead people. So it's because nobody is auditing the system, nobody is auditing the register, nobody even knows how those registers were generated. These are names were supposed to be gotten from local places, local government. Unfortunately, the local government system is not working. So we have a lot of problems in this. So I believe that before this program will be implemented, proper things that are supposed to be done will be done.
All right. So, Mr. Jibola, like I asked Honorable Deneye, the country is still battling with the effects of petrol subsidy removal. What's your view on 25,000 naira, now 35,000 naira additional wage that was announced by the president?
So I think we answered that earlier. I kind of answered that earlier. I don't think it's enough. I really don't think it's enough. True. But I do feel like. But one thing I wanted to add to what we're talking about here is that the issue of cash transfer to needy people. There's a program that we're doing with local governments in Nigeria. We've been doing some research a couple of months now on how to allow the benefactors in the needy people in these communities themselves to be more vocal about their own needs, number one, and also to have a feedback loop between them and the sustainability of such programs that we provide to them. One of the things you'll find is that government is not supposed to be designed to be all to everybody. And the challenge Nigeria has is we're always calling for government to be more efficient, to be more qualified. Typically, government is supposed to look for professional organizations or businesses that are already providing pseudo services to communities and then tap into those services to enable the programs they want to do, right? So one of the examples here is that, we're looking for a cashless society. Well, if you tell anybody in Nigeria they're going to get free money for anything, they're willing to sign up for anything to get that free money. Well, that's an opportunity to get people a little more cashless in government cards that can be given to these so-called beneficiaries. which way they will find a way to go get their card, so that when they spend money, government can actually account for the fact that these are the people spending this money we've given to them. That's just one idea. But the key thing is we need to tap into a feedback loop system that involves the private sector, not the government. Look, big ideas die in government. That's what they're supposed to do because of the bureaucracy of government. Small companies need to be available where there's no conflict of interest with the core service that they provide and what government is trying to do. So it augments each other, which means you are a company that provides cards to people, government wants to give people money. So now the money is going through your cards and you take a percentage for that transaction. Everybody wins. And because you've perfected the system of managing those things, the government can utilize you. So I encourage more Nigerians to position themselves for governments to plug into and governments to start plugging into companies now so that Nigerians can take it upon themselves to build infrastructure that is lacking in government. But if you have to wait for government to be the one to provide the database, the infrastructure, the systems, the likes of what has happened in some of the elections will be minor compared to the failures we'll see moving forward. Private sector needs to jump in. They need to be more useful than they've been.
Right. So let me come back to the studio. Honorable Adine, workers are now demanding for implementation of a new minimum wage. Amidst our economic crisis, how feasible is this?
Yeah, I said it earlier that the president was very tactical in his pronouncement. Initially, he said 25,000 additional. And later on, after meeting with the Labour, the government shifted stance to increase it to 35,000. Unfortunately, not even the Labour had come out to say this is the minimum wage we are expecting. The president said it on his inauguration day, that the wage.
They talked about an 100% increment.
He said what workers of Nigeria are receiving is not a befitting minimum wage. That his government will increase the minimum wage, but nobody has come out to say this is a particular amount that minimum wage should be. And I said it earlier. It is not out of place for government to say that, okay, fine, we are increasing minimum wage, or we are putting a minimum wage of so much. But you have to look at the economic implication. I said it. If you make the minimum wage to be 100,000 and government is ready to pay it, you understand? By the time the workers collect 100,000 for first, second, third month, you realize that they will come back again asking for more because the economic indices, the things that are supposed to be put in place are not there. If you do not have to pay so much for transport, if you do not have to pay so much for food, if you do not have to pay so much for school, if you do not have to pay so much for so many things, transport and co, you will find out that you will be able to make savings. But if all these things are still very expensive to manage, definitely by the time you are given any amount as minimum wage, you will still end up not being able to have any savings. And that's why the government is so tactical to say that, oh, we'll watch it for the next 6 months, believing that economic activities will have improved and the government will have also been very stable and both the micro and macro economic will have been put in place.
Right. So the promise that CNG powered buses are being expected, what impact will this have on Nigerians?
Yeah. Unfortunately, I was expecting the president to tell us precisely when that will happen, because he has said it before when he met with the Labour, and he also said it yesterday again. I thought he was going to tell us, oh, precisely about this time, this will happen. When we have that, it is expected that transportation will become cheaper. But that is if the cost of gas does not go up again. Because if the price of gas goes up, and it's almost the same thing with the price of diesel and petrol, it doesn't make any economic sense. But I am believing that government is working on this, and this has to come in time so that it will be able to meet with the yearnings of Nigerians. Lagos State is trying. Rail everywhere now, blue rail, red line, and those sort of things. These are some of the things I also expected the federal government to encourage other states to start doing. You understand? Unfortunately, every state that has mentioned CNG, we don't have any CNG plant in place in anywhere in Nigeria yet. So, and these are some of the things I expect that federal government will encourage all the states. You know, the president said yesterday that they are supporting the state with infrastructure fund. Unfortunately, the president did not tell us precise amount that is being given to each state and what they expect, what kind of infrastructure that the states are expected to put in place. If the president has gone ahead to tell us this, every citizen of each state will be able to hold the governors accountable to what they are collecting, because this fund is different from the normal monthly allocation. In that case, we'll expect to monitor the governors to be sure that it is what the federal government has asked them to do with such funds that they are doing with it. So there are so many things the president has said that they are putting in place to ensure that we do not feel the negative effect of the subsidy removal and so much. But I know that by first quarter of next year, things will start getting better.
All right. Mr. Ajibola, let me come to you. Now that the federal government has removed VAT on diesel for the next 6 months, what's the significance of this?
It's significant. I mean, it's going to relieve a lot of the stress and strain that some folks are facing from pocket issues. It's going to relieve folks that the economy itself requires people moving about, and if you cannot afford to move, you cannot be part of the economy. So I think, in by and large, it's a positive move. One of the things, and I know we're running out of time, one of the things I wanted to add, if anything, to this speech that I think was lacking is the plan to engage Nigerians in the global market. We've been screaming this for a while now. We don't think the Nigerian economy is big enough for Nigerians. It just isn't. There's too many unemployment. There's too few jobs, and the jobs that are available are mostly limited to certain demographic of workers. So we encourage the government to speak to folks in the diaspora to see how we can expand the economic benefit for Nigerians globally. The need is there, the opportunities are there, but the tools to engage the sides are not there. And I'll give you a small example. There was some years back under the previous administration, I was part of a group that went to Silicon Valley to encourage them to work with Nigerian technocrats, if you will, technology folks. And the folks, I'm not going to mention them, but one of the representatives that had followed us on that trip, that we followed on that trip, when the mayors had asked them, we're afraid of security in Nigeria, we're afraid that there's 419 and stuff like that. Right. We want to give jobs to these Nigerians, but we're afraid of these things. What should we do? The man told them they're not ready for business. If you're afraid of that, then you're not ready for business. Imagine the opportunity that we had to bridge this gap then that we lost because of ignorance to the plight of the youths in Nigeria. This is what we face every time we try to bring opportunity to that side of the world, where folks that are in control just have huge disconnect with what is really going on. There's a lot of talented people. I personally hire.
Sadly, we're out of time. Thank you so much. I've been speaking with Honorable Kehinde Odeneye, Chartered Accountant and former member of House of Representatives.